everyone, Simon from Heavy Mag here. I have the honour and privilege to talk to the one and only Jesse Leach from Killswitch Engage. How are you, man?
Yeah, good, brother. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm sitting up at sunny Bribey Island. I'm a Queenslander these days, so I know. Have you ever been up a bit north of Brisbane in your travels over the years?
I haven't.
Okay.
I unfortunately have stuck pretty much to where we play, and that's it. You know, not much time to explore, but I would love to someday.
Yeah, for sure, man. Make a bit more next tour. Hopefully, make a bit more time to come see this beautiful part of the world. Sorry, one sec, dude. One sec. Sorry, technical. That should be right.
No worries, man.
Gotcha.
No worries. No rush.
Yeah.
You're my last one.
Awesome, man. Awesome. No, that's great. So, so you guys have. It's been an interesting couple of years for everyone, but you guys have just dropped your first. Well, technically, a live album. It was done live, done in different circumstances, but live at Palladium. How's it feel to have that one out now?
It feels good, man. Yeah, it was definitely odd playing to 8 people, you know, the camera crew and stuff, at socially distanced distances. But that being said, just to be on stage with my brothers and to be able to play those songs, and especially to play, 2 albums in their entirety, which, you don't really get to do on tour. That was awesome. And I really love that first record for nostalgic purposes, and I love Atonement. It's one of my favorite records that I've done with these guys.
Yeah.
So, it really sort of captures a really unique time in our lives, and really marks the first time we got back together on stage since the pandemic. So it is definitely going to be an album I'll remember forever.
Yeah, and apart from like that, you guys, it was a unique experience, and you created even more unique experience by going through those albums, which is fantastic for us fans to go through those catalogs. I must, after 20 plus years, and you being back in the fold for a long time now, how was it going through that? Essentially a fairly decent back catalogue of 2 albums.
Yeah, it was great, man. I mean, we were going to actually perform even more.
Yeah.
We had our goals set higher, but it just, from, first of all, getting back on stage and performing again after so long of not doing that, fatigue took over, so it ended up just being the 2 records. So we were actually going to do like a whole B-sides thing that never happened. But that being said, it was a lot of work. It definitely was tiring.
Yeah.
But when I look back on it, man, it really helped us mentally, I think, first and foremost, just to be able to do those things. And then to play 2 records that I think mark the beginning and where we were currently. It's kind of amazing to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And then if you watch the visual accompaniment to it, we dressed the part for the first record. So we actually tried to look how we looked in the year 2000, which to me is pretty comical. So that was a lot of fun, just standing on stage, looking at each other, just being ridiculous. It kind of made it extra fun. Yeah, baggy pants and like dumb wigs and all that stuff. Like
over here, cargo pants were just I wish I had an investment in a cargo pants company, because it was big. The more pockets, the
and you had to get them 4 or 5 sizes too big for you. That was the style back then. Ridiculous. It just you look back on it, it looks so funny, but at the time we were like, this is cool.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, you got me all nostalgic now. That's fantastic. Dude,
Jinkos, all that shit.
Because I was like 17 or 18 when you guys just blew up, and man, we followed the fashion hard. You guys are the and I was a BMXer, and the skaters, and a lot of the skaters now, they wear the big pants again. They're the father.
I know, it's coming back, right? It's so strange.
It is strange. Anyway, we could talk fashion all day, couldn't we? But so more on the mental side, that was the leading question. Is what the last couple of years has done for people, and for and against. Wow, I'm just trying to picture myself in your position of, being on stage with the guys. What a mental exercise that must have been, and a great monotony was the biggest part of the last couple of years, I feel. So, like, we always come back to music, or in metal. I'll stay specific to metal, but music's always been like our mental stability. So having that taken away, can you elaborate a bit more on the mental side and sort of the work that you've done personally and your guys in your band? Has there been struggles?
Yeah. I can't really speak for those guys. I know there's definitely been struggles with everybody.
Yeah.
And you mentioned monotony, and I would say before the pandemic, tour was becoming a bit of a monotony for all of us.
Yeah.
So I think that being said, it really gave us a renewed sense of appreciation for what we're able to do. And having that taken away and sort of like trying to figure out who you are without that identity of being on a stage and writing records and just being on the go and that lifestyle that tends to be, pretty nonstop. I learned some pretty hard lessons about myself, and I'm grateful for it, honestly. It really sort of made me be more present to the moment, to be more appreciative of what I have. And then coming back into it and, doing this live performance together, we all left that thinking to ourselves, wow, we still get to do this. Even if it was just us in a room performing to cameras, we were able to do it, and it was super fun. And I think it sort of just changes your whole perspective. And I would say that, I'm sure most people can relate to this. You learn to, like, really appreciate those things you may have taken for granted. Something as simple as going out to eat with your friends and hearing laughter, in public and watching people dance and have fun. And, I remember the first time I sat at a restaurant, socially distanced and took my mask off and was able to enjoy a meal and look around and people were doing the same thing. I got emotional. I was like, yes, I've missed this so much. So across the board, I think that really has affected all of us, where you just appreciate those little things that you used to take for granted. And then being a musician, being able to travel the world is something that has been huge. Getting back to it and hopefully getting back across country lines soon will be incredible. I can't wait for that.
Wow. And it's interesting how, as you said, with the monotony of touring and things like that, like such a shift for us all mentally, aren't us humans amazing things how we get a perspective from an experience like that, and a lot come out on top in your perspective, and I knew it would be, because listening to podcasts and things that you've done and interviews, you come across, there's always that sort of glass half full kind of attitude, and that takes time to create. That takes work, because we all have our demons, but it's good that when you're able to see it from a fan's perspective to you and your band, that branches out. And people are like, well, these guys are getting on with life, or maybe I should as well. It's just, that's what everyone needs, which is awesome. Now with that, you've encapsulated a really unique experience with the live album. And what I'm hoping for is that was a time in our lives that was unique, that was strange, and now we can get back to somewhat of a normal existence where you had those experiences with conversing with the crowd. So where does that stand for Killswitch Engage right now, as far as where are you guys at in America with playing live, one in your amazing country, and touring overseas? Is there a plan in place as yet?
Well, as of right now, I think the big thing that was looming over us was, it's been a long time since we sat and wrote a record.
Yeah.
So getting back on the road and touring, we did a tour with Slipknot here in the States, and we did our own headlining tour with Light the Torch and August Burns Red. That sort of fulfilled of like, oh, we're back, we're doing this again, we're playing shows, we're in front of an audience. We weren't able to interact as much as we would have wanted to, but we were still doing it. But I think that the conversation kept coming up of like, well, what should we do? Internationally traveling kind of like fell to the wayside for not just the pandemic, but the conflict in the Ukraine.
Yep.
So once all that touring went away overseas, we had a bunch of time. So we've started to work on demos for a new record. And we just confirmed a tour here in the States with Lamb of God and a plethora of other bands as support. So we'll be doing that in the fall. But predominantly between now and then after then, we're really going to be working on the record, trying to get that wrapped up and done quickly, too, because we want it to be a record that's not going to take a lot of time to create. We want that raw, fresh feeling. So a lot of these demos I'm trying to kick through quickly just to get the energy, and then we'll sort of dissect them as we get into the studio. So I think there's a real spirit within us to put out new material and then tour on that new record come next year, hopefully. So that's kind of what we're all thinking.
Awesome. And as far as a trend that I've noticed with other bands that I've spoken to in the last, probably more the last year, is there a time frame you've set yourself, obviously writing and pre-production and then recording? Have you set yourself a time limit on it, or are you just going to go for it and just get it completed until you feel happy with it, as opposed to...
I think we've got a couple sessions. We haven't really put deadlines on anything, but I'm personally setting goals for me to like create quick, very emotional, raw stuff for the demos. And then probably taking a little more time once we get to the studio to polish that up and make it sound really good. But like some of these demos I'm getting ready to send to the guys, they're like, if you were to listen to them, most people would probably laugh because they're just me going nuts, just trying to get the idea out quick. And then we'll worry about re-recording it and polishing it and sort of making it sound Killswitchy. But I've always been sort of really hard on myself, a perfectionist, if you will. And I think it's hindered me in the demo making process. So my approach to this record is very, like, I wake up in the morning and I write lyrics out of a sleep. I listen to the music. It's moving very quickly for me, and I love it. Just feels fresh. It feels new.
Cool.
And then us getting into a room and jamming on that shit together, which we haven't done in years. That's the vibe we're going for. And I think you're talking about a live record. We kind of want to bring that live feeling, that live sound to this next record as well.
Cool. That's another leading question, because I've seen you guys a couple of times over the years. It's been a little while, to be honest, but I've always really, and what I really liked about what you've done with this live record is there's just some bands, and you guys go into that category, you just transpire so well live. So that's refreshing to hear that sort of live mentality going into the studio, because there's just that rawness that's on this live record. And performance-wise, it's impeccable. But that's what's a band that's been around for as long as you guys have been around. Like, we're all getting older, so it's just part of it. You're creating and perfecting your craft. But so that's refreshing, having that sort of, what you said about that live element sort of going into that record. That's exciting.
I want that energy to be there, and thank you for your kind words, but it's definitely far from perfect. But, live music shouldn't be perfect.
No.
I don't like the studio fixes. I don't like the tuning. I hate all that shit.
Yeah.
So the less or that can happen, I'm into it. I'd rather keep it raw. And, it's rock and roll, man. It shouldn't be perfect. I think metal over the years has become very compressed and sort of very manufactured. So to me, I'm all about pushing away from that.
Yeah.
So I think this next record would be a push and pull, because Adam is very much a perfectionist with the way he likes things to sound. So it should be interesting, and he's on board with that too, sort of getting more of a live feel to what we're doing.
Awesome.
I think it comes across when you come see a band live like us. Like, it is a little different than a record, but it should be, Yeah,
exactly. The old saying, it's live. So,
Exactly.
Yeah. That's really, really cool. So I guess what we can expect is, I'm certainly not prying and holding you to words, but obviously, everyone in Australia is thinking, like, okay, we've got a new record coming out. So what can we sort of 2023-ish sort of time frame for potential of Killswitch coming back down here? Is that sort of a rough time frame to give something to the dying fans?
As far as I can tell, if it is 2023, probably be later in the year, depending on the record. But you never know if we get an offer from a band to go there.